Hey folks, hope you're well. I'm a little bit out of practice. I've not done this in a month. I mean, the next time I plan on doing a video to say that I'm feeling a bit lost, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing in all of this. I'm not going to disappear for a month. You know, that was very unintended. I planned to have like a couple of days over Christmas, and then I thought I'll have that big quiet gap between Christmas and New Year, and I'll get lots of cool stuff done, and I did nothing. It was a quiet one. I had a really nice Christmas day though. We got lots of cool presents. Ben got his Batman robot. Emily got lots of bits and pieces. Oliver got lots of bits and pieces. Claire was happy with what she got. And I'm very happy that I got my Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2 Eggman robot here with my little Sonic. Where is he? He's on the O. And yeah, I'm very happy. I set it all up. It all looks cool. I'm very happy with my new setup. I mean, I don't even remember whether I've recorded them. I must have recorded on my new webcam. I've lost track of time now. But I'm thinking things are looking cool. I got some Pokemon books as well, which are just behind my head here. I'm waiting for number 2 to arrive so I can read them. It's the original Pokemon manga. And yeah, just very, very happy with what I got. I had a good haul. We had a good fun. I went to my mum and dad's for Christmas dinner on the day, and then went to Claire's mum and dad's in the evening for a buffet. I saw Claire's brother. Had a great kind of family 2 days. It was very nice seeing everyone, except I didn't see my sister, bless her, because she was unwell, so we didn't see her over New Year and Christmas. Hopefully we'll see them again soon. But after Boxing Day, we got home, and I don't know if it's exactly the day after or a couple of days after, but Claire's brother got home from visiting us and was like, oh, just done a COVID test and I've got COVID. So Claire did a COVID test and she had COVID. I took another day or so to get it. Ben got it with me. Emily somehow avoided it completely and has had no COVID at all. And Oliver refused to be tested. He's literally not gone anywhere near the COVID test. He's absolutely refusing at all costs. So anything up his nose. So he's off school till Friday. But that's been weird. COVID absolutely knackered me, which is why I've not done any videos, basically. I just slept and slept and slept. I'm still feeling very tired now. I'm back at work now. Like, obviously, this is my lunch break. But I'm back at work and I'm working and I feel like I'm cracking on. But, man, am I tired. I could easily, if I went on the sofa now and lied down, I would sleep. And I probably wouldn't wake up until Claire come home and went, like, you're asleep, get up, you're supposed to be at work. She was tired as well. When she was ill, she was basically in bed for 2 days and completely laid up, which was great fun because it was like, oh, great, the kids are still needing... I mean, I had work, but I was able to balance it all. She was knackered, the kids were running riot, and it was just like, oh, man. And then when I got ill, it was like, okay, now the shoe's on the other foot. She was trying to sort the kids. It didn't affect Ben at all, bless him. He was absolutely just running around mad like he always does. As I say, the other two have been fine. We're not even sure Oliver's had it. He had a little bit of a cough at one point, which we thought, okay, maybe that's a sign. But he's not had any other symptoms, so that's good. And I think I'm free on Friday. I did my test. I did a test yesterday, last night, because apparently if I could test negative last night and today, I'd have been able to go out today. But I was positive last night, so I'm not going to bother wasting tests. I'll just wait it out till Friday. And then what Claire found was she got to the end, the 7th day, tested herself, she was negative, tested the next day, was positive, and then after day 10 was still testing positive. But she rang the advice line and they said, no, you're not contagious after 10 days, so you might test positive for up to 3 months, but you're okay. So I was like, oh, great, okay, that's confusing and mad. But they've told her she's allowed out. She checked with them, she checked with work, she's allowed to go out now, so it's all good. So yeah, that was an interesting little experience. We've avoided it for 2 years, and then we have 1 day out at Christmas and immediately get hit by it, which I think everyone's getting it now, and it's gone super contagious. It's all been a very busy time, and yeah, when I got back to work, apparently like 4 other people had also been off with COVID that week, because I missed like 3 or 4 days of work last week, where I just felt terrible. Luckily, I sort of said to work, oh, I'm not well, I'll book some holiday, thinking I'd have to use holiday up. But I'm like, no, it's fine, we'll cover it, it's good. So I was very relieved about that. I did have a little moan on Twitter at one point saying like, oh, God, I have to use holiday up. I didn't really want to do that. And people were a bit shocked. But actually, turns out that's not the policy. I've not had a sick day in ages, so I didn't know what the policy really was. So that was a nice relief. So having COVID was a bit bizarre. But while I was off and tired and lounging around, I also... because I've been feeling lost and a bit off, I was starting to think about obviously I'm waiting for my autism diagnosis thing to kind of continue. I got an update from them telling me that I was 370th in the queue, and I was like, okay, I was 390th about 3 months ago. So I emailed kind of saying, look, this is actually getting a little bit like, I don't know, it's bothering me that I keep thinking about it, I keep waiting on it, and I'm not having a moan because I understand they're busy, but is there anyone I can talk to about this, just to appease me a bit? And so she rang me, bless her, which was very kind of her to ring me. She didn't sort of book it. She said, I'll give you a call. She rang me and she said, she was like, first off, there's nothing for you to worry about because you don't get on our waiting list unless you're very, 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 very likely to be diagnosed. Like, she said, there's just too many people. She was like, we the initial bit where you get in touch, most people don't get past that. Then they send you a form out. Once they fill the form out, most people then don't get past that. So the people that are left are the very, very few people where they've read the paperwork and they've gone, yeah, all right, definitely. So she was like, she said it's very, very rare they have anyone go through their system and come out the end of it and they're told that they're not autistic. But she said sometimes there are people who come through the end of it, again, very rarely, who they go, it might not be autism, but it could be this. And so she said, either way, she was like, I've read your paperwork. She said, I've gone through it again before this call and it seems pretty obvious and the signs are all there. But she said, even if we got to the end of it and there was something different, she said, it's not, they wouldn't just leave you hanging. So that made me feel good. But then she also said, what are you worrying about as well? And I said, well, what's bothering me is that I don't know anything is confirmed, so I can't really talk about it. I was like, I can't, it's not really affecting work, but I can't go to work and say, look, this is a problem for me and therefore I need help because I've not got any confirmation. If I said to them, look, I don't want to do this thing, so they quite often ask me to go and do days out with vendors or whatever, and I'm like, I don't really want to travel to London. I don't want to spend a day in London with random people partying all day or whatever. And it's because it's a bit stressful. It makes me anxious, and all of this. I just don't like the unknowns of it. I don't know what to wear, how to act, what to do. It's just a minefield. And so I just sort of said to her, stuff like that I can't get out of. I can't say no to without sounding like I'm just being a wet blanket. Whereas if I had the confirmed diagnosis, I'd be able to say, these are the reasons why, and go into much more detail. But I don't want to talk to work about it because I don't want to have like an unconfirmed thing and then be wrong or whatever. I don't want them to say, okay, we'll make accommodations, and then it turns out it's not right. Anyway, I that wasn't the only reason I went into it. I just said to her, look, my problem is I don't want to, I'm getting hot talking about this. The only reason I'm getting tangled. But what I'm saying is, like, I wanted to be able to say, this is the facts of the matter. What can we do? Or just be aware. You don't really have to do much. Anyway, they sent me a letter. They basically wrote me out a letter saying, this is what you could do. This is the process. It's like a preliminary. They send it out to people for this reason, so that work can say, right, we've read the letter, we understand the situation, we're waiting for the full diagnosis, but this is what we can do in the meantime. And it had things on there that work have already done for me because I've needed them over the time, so that they've covered their buzzing lights and stuff like that, so that I don't get overloaded by the light. There's other bits in there about extra time, accommodations. It made me laugh reading some of it because I'll sometimes get like a booking that just says meeting, and I'm like, well, what's that for? And then I spend the week panicking about it. And then I go in the meeting and it's just, we just wanted to tell you a good job on this thing you've done. And I'm like, bloody hell, you could have said, like, just wanna say thanks. Do you know what I mean? I've spent the week getting anxious about something that was really good. So it says in there, don't do that. And I'm like, okay, I hadn't really considered that that's something I could have raised. So that's been useful. But I also spoke to them about the fact that I'm just feeling lost still and all of that kind of thing. And they've referred me to a group called Steps to Change, which I did say to them, I've talked to people in the past and it's not been very useful. And I know this is a common thing for autistic people, that therapy is not particularly useful. They tell you to do things that don't really help. And I said to them, I'm a bit worried that they'll just say, have you tried just like breathing or, thinking about whatever? And I'm like, yeah, I have tried all those things. I've got Google. I can Google basic advice. So I said I kind of was hoping that I could talk to someone who specifically knows about autistic people and all of this. So She told me to talk to them, and I was all happy and excited, thinking, yeah, she's told me that they have that sort of specialisms. And then they immediately rang me like half an hour after I'd put the thing in, going, we don't really have anything for autistic people. We'll just talk to you. So they're ringing me in a week to just have a chat with me. And I'm like, oh, great. I mean, I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to hope that it goes well. But I'm not expecting much. My expectations are low, let's say. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I'm hoping that it will help. I'm hoping that she sort of said to me, if things get really, really, really hard, I didn't know how to take this, right? I feel like if, I'm not great at reading between the lines, and saying it out loud feels like maybe she was nudging me, but she basically said to me, if things get really, really difficult, if things get really hard, if you're feeling really, if something happens, then we can bump you up the list. And I was just like, what does that mean? I was a bit like, right, okay, I don't really want to cheat the system. I don't want to be naughty, but at least I know if things get really difficult, there is an option there. So I'm just gonna see how I get on, but maybe I'll ask them if it's stressing me out too much or whatever. But yeah, it made me feel a bit better talking to her. Definitely, I come off that call thinking, okay, you're telling me that it's very likely. That makes me feel better. You're telling me that I wouldn't be on the list if it wasn't a strong possibility. That's good. That's fine. I can handle that. That makes me feel a lot better. So yeah, things are going well with me. For Ollie, he's not back at school till Friday, so that's a bit frustrating. That is purely based on the fact that so Ben and we said we tested Ben positively 7 days ago. So they told me Ben can go back today because this is the day where he meets the criteria. But they were saying, look, unless we can test Ollie and confirm, because we had to test Ben last night and Ben was negative, so he was okay to go in. But unless we can test Oliver, he can't come in till Friday, so he's off till Friday. But I said to them, well, if I can try and convince him to do a test, can he come in? And they were like, yeah, but he's just not allowing it. I considered doing it while he was asleep, but I felt like that was a bit mean and a bit invasive. I didn't want to invade his privacy and upset him. So yeah, he's just off. He's got some science projects to do. We thought it was only 2 bits, and then when we looked at the piece of paper, it had 8 bits of work on it. So we had a bit of a panic last night. Claire did too. I've spent some time this morning. When he got up, I just kept asking him questions about renewable energy and stuff like that, and trying to convince him to learn about solar and wind and all of that. But yeah, I don't know how we're going to get it done by Friday. As I say, we're a quarter of the way through it. Maybe if we do 2 a day, that's enough time to be done by Friday, sort of, I guess. Yeah, that is exactly right. Sorry. But he's been quite receptive. I did say to him earlier today, we need to work on him taking better care of himself in terms of, being healthy. And I need to give it, because Claire's at work now and it's just me and him in the house for the rest of the week, like in the daytime. I said to him, we need to get into a routine where he gets up a bit earlier and I get him his breakfast and we'll sit and we'll have a chat while he eats it or whatever, because I feel like he's just been used to just getting up and getting his food, or we give him his dinner, his breakfast, his lunch, and he's just kind of bumming along. And I want him to be a bit more like, right, I'm remembering to drink, because I'm worried that so far today, touch wood, I've remembered to feed him and give him drinks and get him to go to the toilet. But I know what I'm like. If something comes up and distracts me, I'm just going to be like, I'll forget to drink myself. Claire will come home and be like, you all right? And I'll be like, I haven't had a drink in X hours. I'm feeling a little bit weird now because I'm realizing that I'm in my lunch break and I should have eaten before I did this, really. I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten in hours. So, yeah, but I need to make sure that I'm remembering. I mean, I'm just being nervous. I need to make sure that I'm remembering to look after him. But I am nervous about him going back to school because obviously he's on half days again. And we've got the big EHCP meeting review in, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks. They're gathering data and all of this. And obviously, last time we spoke about it all, we were supposed to be looking at him going to potentially another school or something like that, which he doesn't really want to do. He really doesn't want to do that. We breached it a little bit over the time off, and he just doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to have to go anywhere else. And I know we've talked about the grass not being greener on the other side and all of that kind of thing before. But I guess we're going to have to see how this term goes. It's hopefully not as hiccupy now. There's not all the Christmas madness and all of that. So we'll see. But it's the usual stuff, isn't it? The start's always good. And then by the end, they start doing all their extra things and the stuff. The last few weeks, everything changes. They completely derail the class and all of this. And just don't want to end up going through that again and again and again and again. So, yeah, I don't know. We haven't had any updates. There's not really anything that's changed with him. It's just the way it is. Emily turned 13 on New Year's Day, which feels a bit midlife crisisy for me, having a 13-year-old daughter. She's definitely turning into a teenager. She bloody, I mean, the madness of teenagers. She brought a friend home, and we were like, "You can't come in here." Like three of us are isolating with COVID. And she was like, "I spoke to her mum, and mum said it's fine." And I'm like, "No, you can't be in here." She doesn't have COVID. She'd been tested that day, and she'd gone to school and been tested, so we knew she was fine. But I was like, no, your friend can't be in the house. So her friend's mum was like, Emily can come here then. And we were like, are you mad? But it turns out I think they've already had it. So that's fine. I get that. Like, I'm not judging them. I don't want to sound like I'm having a go. But we were just like teenagers. Like, come on, you don't have to be with your friend that much. But she went to her friend. She came back. It was all fine. But she makes me laugh because it's really hard to argue with a teenager debate. I was like, you can't bring her in here. We've got COVID. And she'd thought of that. She'd already spoken to her friend. A friend's mum didn't mind. And it was like, well, I'm not sure how, I'm used to being able to say, no, this. And they go, oh, you're an adult. I will listen. Whereas now she's like, well, no, I thought of that because I'm a sensible teenager and I've gone and asked the question. I've managed to figure out a way to get what I want. And I'm like, I don't have an answer for that. So, I mean, Claire come in, we were talking, we were just looking at each other like, I don't know. Like, I'm just used to what I say being the answer. I don't know. And it was really like, she's like, can you help me think of, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, just tell her she can't be here. And she was like, but they're here. And I was like, yeah, I know. And it is, but it's a, I know that's one example, but it's just been lots of times like that where we're like, okay, you're starting to get more clever. And it's not always going to be that way. Obviously, we're going to be ruling the roost and that kind of thing. We're still the parents, we're still in charge. But it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird arguing with someone more. I nearly said sentient. They're all sentient, but you get what I mean. I could tell Ben that it's raining chocolate, and he'll believe me. Not so much of Ollie, but the older they get, the more they have their own minds, and it's definitely a learning curve. Definitely. It does also mean that she's allowed on social media, which petrifies me because she'll have a Twitter account eventually. I have kind of told her it's a bit of a whinge hole and it's a bit depressing, but we got her on TikTok, which I also got on. I mentioned this on the podcast and I've mentioned it a lot, but it has been dominating my time over COVID. I've learned how to, if anyone listened to my podcast, I was saying that it was absolutely hurling breasts at me on TikTok, and someone told me how to stop that happening, and it has now tidied up massively. It's now hurling football at me, and I need to teach it that I'm not a Liverpool fan, basically, because it's just absolutely vomiting Liverpool stuff at me. I don't want to say I'm not interested in this, and then it doesn't show me Spurs stuff. Do you know what I mean? I want to see Tottenham stuff, but I don't know how. I'll have to start looking through stuff and finding my own bits. At the moment, I'm just randomly watching what it shows me, but that's been fun. I don't know whether I'm ever going to start TikToking. Emily was immediately like, I want to TikTok my own videos. And I was like, no. But because her account's a child account, it will only show it to her friends anyway, we've established. So I sort of said to her, don't film yourself because that's how you're going to end up with people taking screenshots and putting it all over the school or whatever. But we talked about safety. I told her not to do it at this point, so she's not doing it. But eventually I imagine she will because she really wanted to, and her friends make them and send them to her. But it's been fun going through that. It's been good. I think that's pretty much it. This has been a bit all over the place. There's been loads of topics in this, and my next ones won't be. I just figured this was a back to school special, a back to vlogging special. But we are all right. I am okay myself. I just feel a little bit off. I think what I could really do with is having an epiphany, waking up tomorrow and thinking I want to be a magician, and then becoming a magician or whatever. Just that's random, but just randomly coming up with a thing that I want to do and doing it. That'd be my dream scenario, just having this epiphany. And I'm looking for that still, and I need to stop looking for that. That's all I've ever been doing. Once I've had an idea or I've decided something or I've agreed something, then I'll feel fine. But until that point, I've just got this weird niggling feeling, and it's bothering me. But yeah, I plan on making some more gaming videos over the next few weeks. I've got 10 days off coming up in February, so I'm thinking 5 of them the kids aren't home, so I could spend 5 of them and the weekends setting up a series, and then maybe work on it from then on, kind of thing. I got 5 days off where the kids are off. We might go away. I don't know yet. It depends on COVID money and all stuff like that. But I've kind of been. Ben wants to go to a beach at some point, and I don't. If we stay home, that'll be Hun Stanton again, and it's like, ugh. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, should be lots of cool stuff up ahead. I'm sure there'll be lots of back to school drama and stuff like that as well. But yeah, keep watching. I'll be here as normal routine should hopefully what's the word? Resume from here. So Tuesdays and Thursdays. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're all well, and I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.